All right, welcome back, everybody. That'll be my last 10-minute break. Let's keep it rocking here. What I'm going to do, I have a screen here that says we found you. Can I get a thumbs up or a heart emoji if you see we found you? And then I'll progress into this thing right away. This is one of the more important things when it comes to the asset protection plan is kind of weaving in the ability to remain anonymous as well. Because if we go back to that phrase that we hear from Clinton Toby a lot, security through obscurity. This is a great reminder. As a client of ours who set up their own LLC, and in doing so, they weren't even in a high liability type business, but they were getting served at home, and the anonymity was gone for the most part, right when they set up their own LLC. And really, there's nothing worse than getting served at home if you can avoid it. So it's one thing that a lot of our clients want to avoid, number one. But the big one here, and this is one that I really want you to focus in on, we talk a lot about the value of using Wyoming LLCs to be the member manager of your property entities. In fact, it is a brilliant way to do this. It's an awesome strategy, but this is a letter from a client who did this. Like, the great thing about this client, she did this. She knew it was a good strategy and she put it together, but she didn't have the proper guidance when structuring the asset protection plan, and she made a very small but critical error that basically blew up the entire plan. And that's a lot of times why we're so adamant to get people this education. When I go through this, I'm going to go through the mistakes you made and I'm going to show you exactly what you don't want to do. Because if anybody's ever going to try to go out and do these types of things themselves, it's really helpful to go out there and avoid the mistakes. And as you'll see, there's so many mistakes that can be made. It's a lot of times it's not worth your time doing that. Focus on your family, focus on building your business. Let the actual professionals who literally focus on this do this for you on a day-to-day basis. I mean, that's one of the things that my wife and I had to agree on early on in our career with working with Anderson and working through this as investors. And we were so glad that we made that decision. It just allowed us to sleep a lot better at night, knowing everything was done properly. And we've actually seen that become the reality, which I'll show you throughout this section here. It's neat to see. Anyway, let's go ahead and get this thing going. What I want to do is just first start out with the requirements. So if we're going to set up an entity, and we hope that entity has good anonymity components, so it's helping us remain anonymous, we got to understand the process of setting up the entity to help us understand what to do. So if you're taking notes, just write down here requirements for setting up the company, and typically for the most part being an LLC, but there's multiple entities that you can utilize this for. But for the most part, most of the time people are forming the LLCs for this, okay? What we want to do, if obscurity is important to us, which it should be, we want to make sure, number one, we name the company, right? We got to name it, and we don't want it to be related to us in any way, okay? A big time mistake we see a lot of people make is, the ego gets involved and they want their name to be involved. Now, there's certain branding that's okay to do that, but when it comes down to the entity and the assets that it holds, let's make sure the name is obscure. So that's number one. You'll need a registered agent, okay? So when you set up a company, you have to go on and list a registered agent. This needs to be a person or a business with a physical address that's open from 9 to 5. And what will happen is most clever investors will hire a registered agent. If they've done any research at all on asset protection, they'll get a registered agent and they'll hire one to do that service, right? Second thing or third thing you'll need here is your business address. Okay, states are typically going to ask for the address. And if you don't have a virtual business address, you'll need to put your own name or own address down. Okay. But again, the clever investor will typically utilize a VBA, a virtual business address, on this particular portion of the requirement, right? The fourth thing, a member manager. Now keep this in mind. Remember I say this, most states require you to list this information. And many states will get, many investors will get the registered agent and the VBA. And what they'll do is they'll list themselves as member manager, just simply, hey, this isn't going to be anywhere. Nobody's going to really see this. They list themselves as member manager, and that couldn't be further from the truth. You list yourself as member manager, anonymity components out the window. Okay, so remember that. Fourth thing is member manager. Now, here's the one where that young lady who knew what she was doing made the mistake. What you have to do, a requirement for setting up an entity, is you have to list an organizer. Okay, an organizer takes on the responsibility for filling out the documents. And this is where a lot of people will ruin their anonymity because, again, they understand what's required, but they'll go out there and do the work themselves. they'll be listed somehow, even unbeknownst to them, as the manager, just from things that happen online. And they'll be in a situation where their anonymity component is then compromised. Okay. And again, it's neat to see this kind of play out in real world. Let me flash this. I got a slide that shows this. What we always tell clients, and just, people know rich and famous people, right? So let's just do what they do. There's a great article in the New York Times, and it was titled Keep My Bold Face Name Out of It," right? That was the title of it. And you probably recognize some of the celebrities that were in this article. But what they do is they go on to explain how important it is to protect your assets and what structures to utilize. And if you read that article, I mean, it's still available if you know, a member of the Wall Street Journal and you do it online. But if you still, or excuse me, the New York Times, if you still want to read that article, it's on there, and it basically explains what I'm about to do. Okay. The first thing people typically do when they want to go out there and set up their company, they're excited, they're ready to rock. So they go out and they set up this, okay? They set up the property LLC. We talked about this earlier, right? Setting up property LLCs and property entities, okay? So what's very important, remember I mentioned the order in which you do things matters, right? Instead, the first thing we can do today is, instead of setting up that property LLC, let's set up a Wyoming LLC, okay? And you'll see in just a second, we set the Wyoming LLC. It's going to help us with the anonymity component that I'm talking about. And obviously it goes hand in hand with asset protection. We talked about the charging order protection earlier, and there are multiple benefits of having that Wyoming LLC, okay? So if we run through this example of setting up an entity and the requirements that you need in setting it up, but we do the Wyoming LLC first, see how it changes the game in the end, right? Follow me on this. I'll make it real simple. I'll draw the lines here, okay? So let's say we set up the Wyoming LLC first. So what we do is we got requirements for setting up a company, same thing with Wyoming. We go out and we name this thing, okay? So we name it something obscure. We used a registered agent. Now, I'm here talking about Anderson, so forgive me. I'm going to put it up there. Just say for the sake of this example, you use Anderson. Best by far in the business, no questions asked. All right, look it up online. Do the research you got to do if you don't know about Anderson. They're here for 26 years for a reason. They understand the process, understand how to treat clients. All right. Third thing you do is you get yourself a business address. So we're going to go ahead and use a VBA. We'll use Anderson's virtual business address. Now, here's the beauty. The Wyoming does not require that you list the member manager when initially setting up these docs. This is very, very important to understand, okay? Wyoming doesn't require the member manager to be listed initially. So what we can do now is we go down to the organizer. We're going to let Anderson take care of those services and duties for us as well, okay? So let's repeat now with the property LLC, okay? We repeat this by doing this. We go out there and we set up the name of the property LLC. We're good. We use the registered agent. We'll use Anderson there as well, just the same as we did earlier. The business address, we'll use Anderson, okay? Now here's the beauty. When we go pick the member manager for the property LLC portion, this is when we use the Wyoming LLC. The Wyoming LLC will become the member manager, or the owner, if you will, of that property LLC, okay? Moving down to organizer, you know what I'm going to say. We're going to use Anderson for that as well, okay? So the beauty is you go out there and you set the Wyoming LLC first up this way. That way, when you get the property LLC set up, that can be the member manager helping you with anonymity, helping you with obviously the asset protection component too. But you got to be careful, okay? We had a client of ours who got this done for him properly. It was properly done. But what happened was when the client then went to file the annual renewal, again, very simple to trace online. Boom, he does it. He files the renewal. His anonymity from that day forward was compromised, right? So all that he worked for, all the money that he spent with that other company to go get it done, once the renewal happened, his anonymity was compromised, which is why we always tell our clients, let us continue to take care of those renewals. Let you keep yourself at a distance. We come out here as the law firm, put the paperwork together, and do it like it should be done, okay? And if you want to see, that's writing a bunch of stuff on a screen. If you want to see kind of how this looks drawn out and visually, I kind of conceptualize this when I kind of explain this to people that I know a lot better this way. I put it this way. Say these two boxes, right? These two boxes right here. And these are, say, your two properties that you own. So these are your property LLCs. Okay, these are where your investment properties live. You're smart. You went out there and saw the value of individually titling. You put your two properties inside there. Okay. What that does, those two boxes connect down to, okay, think about it. What do we need in order to remain anonymous? Well, you'll need the Wyoming LLC, which owns and controls those property LLCs. Okay. This makes it certain that you remain anonymous and your asset protection is as solid as it possibly can be. Now, you might be looking at this. I got 500 plus people on now watching this event. And you might be saying, okay, well, this is cool, but I don't own a bunch of real estate, nor do I plan to own a bunch of real estate. How is this relevant to me? It's not just important for rental property. Think about it for an active business. All right, this is an active business right here. Okay. This active business, whether it be an LLC or an entity, whatever it is, this connects down to the Wyoming LLC. Again, allowing you to remain anonymous. And you might say, well, what kind of situation would remaining anonymous help me in this particular example? Well, we had a client of ours who became a client for a specific life event. Okay. I mentioned laundry earlier. This client was also in laundry. Okay. He had a few stores, but he didn't have a fund. He didn't have multiple investors. He and his wife were the sole owners of multiple stores in the town that they lived. This is what he did for a living. Made a pretty good living, right? Did pretty well, right? He had two young kids too, to keep that in mind. He has a patron come into one of his shops. In fact, he was there when this happened. So he was actually at the shop that this happened at. And there was a malfunction. Unfortunately, there was a malfunction with one of his dryers. And the patron, I mean, let's face it, the clothes that were in the dryer were highly compromised. I mean, I wouldn't say they were all ruined according to him, but they were compromised and he understood that. So he compensated that patron. They agreed, parted ways, and that's what he thought. That was it, right? Now, you never know the mental state of people, okay? You never know. So what happened is, just not to beat this up too much, he basically had a situation where that particular person came to his home, took the laundry out of the trunk of the car, threw it all over the front yard of the home, and started to scream and started to make a big scene in the neighborhood. And when this happened, the owner himself, he was not there, but his wife and his two kids were at the house. Patron comes up, starts knocking aggressively on the door, yelling outside. It was a situation that completely freaked out his wife, freaked out his young kids. And it was a situation that once he became a client of Anderson, he's like, I don't want to live this again. And I know it's not something you think is going to happen every day, but you'd be surprised how many people have access to tools that they can go online and find out, oh, who owns that? Where do they live? What can I find out about them? Where can I, they do all this research and it's very easy sometimes to be compromised. And what we tell our clients who are trying to build wealth and generational wealth is sure, if you have a brand and you got to be out in front of that brand, great. But when the core of that industry, the core of that business should be in a entity that is not easily traceable, an entity that is not easily be found. We want to make it very difficult for attorneys to see it, let alone somebody who randomly goes online and starts doing some research, right? So we find that a lot of our clients, once they start to see the value in their personal lives when it comes to creating anonymity in their business, it's something they never look back. They say, man, I can't believe I wasn't doing this a lot sooner. It's made things a lot easier, a lot smoother to cope with as they grow their business and grow their industry. Okay. So that's a good example of where treating an active business in a situation where you want anonymity could be beneficial to you. There's millions of examples out there though. Okay. What I want to do is I want to talk about the personal residence because I know, with 500 plus people on this event, there are people that own properties right now, which is awesome, right? There are people that have homes that they live in. That's great. What I want you all to do, and just to see the scope of how many of these thumbs come up, I want you guys to put a thumbs up right now if you own your property and it's titled either in your name, your spouse's name, or both. Okay. I want to see them come up here on the screen. Your name, your spouse's name, or both. Who owns a piece of property with that particular structure? Okay. So for all those thumbs up and the hearts coming up on the screen right now, for everybody who just said, yeah, that's the way I own it, follow me on this. There is a different method. There's a different way to approach home ownership in this country if we do it right. Okay. So what I want to do, I got a slide here to kind of take a break from my terrible drawing here for 2 seconds. It's an AI generated house. Looks real nice, right? It's a protecting your residence is what we want to focus on. Get the slide out of here, get a blank screen, and I'll give you some more terrible drawing. Okay, here we go. Let's pretend we have this house. Okay, this house right here, this is a house. These two people right here, these are the two owners of this amazing house. Okay, they are driven, they're intelligent, and most importantly, these two people are supported by Anderson Business Advisors. We'll call them Dave and Linda. Okay, so we'll be Dave and Linda on this one. Okay, their name is on title, like the majority of American homeowners. Okay, now let's just say, for the sake of this argument, Dave and Linda get sued. Say they got a $100,000 judgment against them, variety of reasons, breach of contract, car accident, creditors coming after them, whatever, right? What a creditor can do is a creditor can take this judgment here and they can record it with the county and it sticks to them. And if they try to sell or refinance the home later, the judgment will have to be paid. Now, I realize there are certain counties, certain states across this country where there's better protection than that for homeowners. I'm a perfect example of a state in Florida where I live, right? But the reality is there's still really tough things that we'd have to deal with if that judgment did stick. So we always tell, I always tell anybody that I know that's willing to listen to this, I say, my name is Brent. I've owned properties for many, many years, including properties that I live in, but I have never technically owned any of those properties. I do not own the property that I live in, okay? I understand the value in something called a residence trust, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and switch to black here. I'll write this down. We got a residence trust, okay? We can protect David Linda by setting one of these residence trust up. And for any of you who are into it, if you're saying, hey, I have my house right now, I want to learn how to protect it, or if any of you currently are looking for a home and you find you'll be a homeowner in 1 or 2 or 3 years from now, in about 40 minutes from now, and I'll keep myself honest, 40 minutes from this moment, I'm going to be giving you some amazingly good news about a residence trust. And everybody who's here will be glad that they showed up when I give you the news about the residence trust. I'm belaboring this point, but I'm telling you, it's worth listening to this. It's great stuff, okay? Now, if we want to go out there and do this and do it well, we got to understand there are 3 things required of us when we set this thing up, okay? What we're going to have to do, number one, is we're going to have to name a beneficiary. Okay, if we want to set up a residence trust properly, we got to name the beneficiary, which is going to be the owners of that property. So say for this example, that'll be Dave and Linda. Okay, now the second thing you're going to need to do is you're going to need to name the trust itself. Okay, now if we name the trust itself, really we can name this whatever we want. For this example, we'll call it the Beech 18 Trust. Okay, one of the airplanes that I own and fly is called a Beech 18. It's an old Warbird, 1943. Holds 10 people. It's a beautiful, beautiful vintage airplane. That airplane, flew it recently. We'll use that as this particular trust name. And for no other reason other than not directly associated with Dave and Linda. Okay? Pick something in your life. My point is pick something you're excited about, but just go out there and make it not so noticeable, not so obvious. Okay? Third thing, what we're going to do is we're going to name the trustee. And here's where a lot of people make the mistake. We put down a trustee here. Now, people assume that this should be Dave and Linda, right? Because Dave and Linda, hey, they're trustees. They control the trust. But if we put Dave and Linda on as trustees on this particular residence trust, the remaining anonymous component is compromised. It's gone, right? Because this is something that's going to be filed with the state, with the county, right? So if you're going to take the time to set up the trust, it's important to do it the right way. So don't make the mistake that a lot of people, when they're setting up a residence trust, oh yeah, I'm the trustee, right? Yeah, I better be the trustee because I own it, right? Here's what you want to do. Okay, let's take David Linda's name off this. Let's erase this. Okay, so we'll take David Linda's name off the trustee and add somebody else. Now, who are we going to add? All right, we've picked on him a couple times today. Let's pick on him one more time. Let's add Clint Coons. All right, one of my mentors when it comes to asset protection, brilliant attorney here, founding member of Anderson Business Advisors. Clint Coons, for many, many, many years, served as what's called a nominee trustee for all of our clients who set up a residence trust. Thousands served as a nominee trustee for these clients, right? I'm happy to report that about a year and a half ago, Clint stopped acting as nominee trustee, and his son Carter has now taken over. It's kind of a symbolism thing, right? Carter is now part of Anderson Business Advisors. He's an attorney as well, and he is now acting as the nominee trustee for our clients here at Anderson when it comes to the personal residence trusts. Now, what does that mean? You're thinking, well, holy cow, Clint has 300 investment properties all throughout the country making tremendous cash flow. I guess he got all these properties because he went out there and was the nominee trustee and he took these properties over, right? It's not what happens, okay? he's going to act as something called a nominee trustee. And here's the thing: every time there's correspondence with pertaining to this property right here, Clint's going to get the mail, right? David, Linda, according to public record, they're no longer associated with this property in any way because it was filed properly, right? But here's what you don't understand: the moment the trust is set up, literally the moment it's set up, right after, Clint removes his name as nominee trustee and he officially resigns his position. And you get an official resignation letter, both digitally and in hand. Once Clint resigns that position, David, Linda take back over as trustees of this trust, right? But here's the beauty: that's a private document, right? It's not a public document. And the great thing is if anybody calls Clint from this day forward, because he's listed as the nominee trustee on that particular trust, hey, I need to find the owners of this property. Here's the reason why. Clint's very simple response, or Carter's response: due to client privilege relationships, I am not able to divulge that information. Boom. This buck stops there. Okay, now you're in a position where you own this piece of property. You are now the trustee. You benefit from owning it, right? But now you don't technically own it on paper. Now you might say, well, Brent, what about all the tax benefits that I get and all the asset protection events I get as a homeowner? You better believe every single one of those Save Our Homes and all these tax caps that I have access to as a homeowner, I get them all this way as well. You do not have to sacrifice any of that. And that's all done because the nominee trustee package that Anderson uses is the best. I mean, we have had organizations outside of Anderson look to our residence trust for guidance because it's put together that effectively. And it's put together effectively because you have, a massive team of attorneys with hundreds of years collectively of experience putting together the best possible documents for clients themselves. Okay. And it's neat. Like, it actually does work. If you kind of see this, I got a slide to show you this. Let me slide this up here. Okay, so here's a property report. Okay, this property report is on a trust that Anderson set up. And if I can highlight this, let me see, where is it? Okay, check out Clint's name as the owner of Gabby Lodge Trust. Okay, but in reality, he's no longer the owner. He hasn't been since the first day that this thing was set up. Okay, and in getting into what we were talking about earlier, also check this out. Check out the mailing address. The mailing address where all the property tax statements go to that a lot of people can trace people to, that's to offices in Anderson offices in Las Vegas. And what happens the moment that particular document goes into the offices at Anderson? There's a group of 5 people full-time in our mail office at Anderson. All right, we got a lot of clients, right? So these people on a daily basis file, sort mail that comes into our offices at Anderson. It is put into a file encrypted folder, password encrypted folder, and sent off to each individual client. They have it immediately. In some situations, our clients receive information digitally faster than they would have the other way around because the mail gets to them quicker here at Anderson, right? So these are things that do work if you go out there and put the time and the effort into understanding them, okay? Now, what we've established is using entities makes sense to some regard, right? We can all say that, right? We want to make sure that those entities, though, sit in a document that's going to make things very easy for our family, for our loved ones, for the generations to come, because we want to build generational wealth. Not everybody's got to be crazy rich, Jeff Bezos rich or Elon Musk. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about taking care of generations to generations and forming positive attributes along the way, not negative financial attributes, positive things. And the way we can do this is understanding this very powerful document. All right. So if you haven't taken the time to take notes yet, let this be one of the final things that I talk about. Make sure you take notes. All right. I got a lot more that I want to teach, but I want to make sure this is important. I want to write this down. The first entity that's really important when it comes to planning, I mentioned it earlier, is that big entity called the living trust. Okay. If you have children, if you have assets, it's your estate plan. Okay. We recommend that everyone create one of these things, regardless of what you have or don't have. It can help create much less stressful situations for family members and loved ones. It's definitely worth doing. Okay. But here's the facts. We have clients who come in through, webinars like this at Anderson, and they sit down with their advisors. They start getting acclimated to the Anderson way, and it becomes very clear that their living trust is not properly set up. It's not properly funded. If you don't have a living trust, pay very close attention. If you do have one, pay very close attention. The first thing that we're going to put inside this living trust here is all of our safe assets. Okay. What we talked about at the beginning, your personal brokerage account, your syndications, your protected savings, we want to make sure these things are protected. So they're going to go inside this Wyoming LLC, right? But people don't realize that Wyoming LLC has to technically sit inside that living trust. If you want to make passing on generationally, or even to a spouse or a loved one or a child dependent, that process, us put it this way, okay? Clint's grandfather used to be a probate attorney. Clint knows very, very well about how probate attorneys work and what probate is like to a family unit. It ain't fun. It's something we want to avoid at all costs, okay? So Wyoming LLC, your safe assets. Second, we might set up a second Wyoming LLC to be the owner of the entities of the real estate holdings that we have. This will give us the anonymity we want. It'll plus give us that extra layer of asset protection that we want. So that's a possibility. So that's two things that are funded inside the living trust. Let's not forget about the personal home, right? So your personal home will be there, but we're not going to do what most people do. We're not going to put that little house right there inside the living trust and say, all right, we're good, right? What we're going to do is we're going to set up a residence trust, one that's designed by the absolute best in the business, the people here at Anderson. So make sure that that property is protected and the anonymity component stays solid, okay? Now, here's something that's really cool. Here's kind of a plug for Jeff's event coming up, right? This section that Jeff has coming up after lunch is amazing. If you have an active business, let's just say you're involved in real estate or trading, pay very close attention. This is really cool. What he's going to do, he's going to show you. So if you're involved in an active business, real estate, trading, whatever it is, he's going to show you how to move money off your personal tax bracket and back to this corporation. So when you set this thing up properly, it can help reduce your tax liability by a significant margin. And it's all about having the proper structure and the control of where the money goes first, right? You hear this a lot of times when people talk about infinite banking and types of, insurance policies people use for banking. But the reality is those things happen in the real world. You don't even have to set those things up for them to make a difference on your personal balance sheet. The way in which money flows to and from these businesses can make big difference when it comes to taxes. And these are simple strategies that when you learn them, you apply them to your business. Oh my gosh, I just saved $5,000. You look at it, you can figure it out by using a calculator, how much you're out there saving because you go out there and make these simple changes, okay? It's all about having the proper knowledge. I don't want to talk about living trusts without bringing this up. I saw this happen in my own life. One of my wife's best friends dealt with this. So ever since I've heard about this happening to her, I've made sure everybody knows about it. Please make note of this. If you have a living trust, make sure you review it and make sure you have something called a beneficial controlled trust provision on the living trust, okay? Protect your beneficiaries from creditors and ex-spouses, divorce lawsuits, judgments against them. A common mistake in estate planning is not having the beneficial controlled trust provision included, especially when you go to some of these discount places to get a living trust set up. It's something that a lot of attorneys miss, and it can end up haunting you down the road. It's just not worth it. So make sure that trust provision is in there. Okay. Can I get a thumbs up, a heart emoji, something positive if you see the value in what a living trust does? That's all I'm asking. I'm all asking if you see the value in what it can do for you and your family. And if you do, please stick with me. Like I said, being here is a good thing. And in fact, I've done these quite a few times for Anderson. The last one I did was a little over a month ago in May. And the amazing thing is what we're doing here today is better than I've ever done. Better opportunity for clients than I've ever done. And it's nice that you guys are the ones watching it. So it's kind of cool to see. I want to share one more thing with you here. I got a picture to put up here to kind of drive this home. I'm going to insert this photo here. This is a picture of a 12-unit building that I used to own. Admittedly, it was on the verge of Class B. It was Class C when I bought it. But we pulled it probably into Class B status, especially based on the neighborhood. It wasn't bad. We held this asset for just over 3 years. We exercised numerous value add techniques on the property. Access to quality tenants. We worked with the city. It was a really neat strategy. I learned actually from my mentors at Rich Dad Education, Robert Kiyosaki's company, taught me some really brilliant things that helped me with this deal. But this is specifically why I want to talk about this, is because we ended up selling this property to a group of California investors. We made over $500,000 in profits, which is nice. And that's not to mention the cash flow that we made in the 4 years that we owned it, which was nice. But the reason I show this is because of this. This particular sale of this property, we've sold other properties in our portfolio before, But this one alone created a situation that inspired us to start a company. Okay. This is how it all started. We started a company that dealt with lending. Okay. So this is what I still do now. I'm approaching an 8-figure business, and that's just my capital, no investor capital, just me and my wife, of going out there and lending to other investors. Certain scenarios, developers, flippers, whatever. There's a lot of people that I'm working with. The point is that lending company started, and it almost, I'm here to tell you, it almost never happened. Okay, so I'll be as dramatic as I can and put a big X through this. Okay, what you're looking at is a property that's in a decent area. I had a really, really great tenant base. And in fact, the person that ended up filing a lawsuit was one of my favorite tenants. And I shouldn't say mine, it was my property manager who takes care of the place. She said she was an incredibly awesome lady. Okay, here's what happens though: she invites her family into town. Her son comes to town, and her son, mid 20s, decides, okay, here's what I do at home. I'm bringing this into my mom's place. All right, I'm from this community. I can make this happen. Here's what I'm getting at. 2 o'clock, between 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock in the morning, he's sitting in that parking lot in a chair and he's dealing drugs. Okay, there's no doubt about this. Multiple witnesses say that this is what's happening. Cars are coming up. Okay, what happens? One car comes up, doesn't like the uh, whatever, doesn't like what's happening. Gunshots fired. He gets shot in the leg. Okay, fortunately, nobody killed, but he was injured, and he suffered an injury that was going to linger with him for many, many years, probably his whole life, right? Now, obviously, all of you watching would say, well, he brought this on himself, and this. How can this be my fault as the property owner? Folks, it doesn't matter, man. You get one of the best attorneys who loves going out there after property owners in the country to come onto your side. Boom, lawsuits filed, 7 figures, big time, right? Comes after this thing and starts to say, okay, what do you got? What do you got? What do you got? And it became very clear. Remember, structured by the best. Anderson's got my back. It became very, very clear very early on in this thing that not much was coming from this. Okay. And I actually had the attorneys, I had a discussion with the charging attorneys, say, use the word lucky. Oh man, you got lucky when you were structured, right? And it's something that I kind of take, I don't know, I'm taken aback by that word a little bit because I've had friends in the business, friends that I went to school with many, many years ago who've used that term as well. Luck. You got lucky, you got lucky, you got lucky. You guys know where I'm going with this, I hope. But luck is what the uneducated call the skills of others, right? That's a kind of a harsh way to say it. Luck is what the uneducated call the skills of others. There's also luck is when preparation meets opportunity. I'm sure there's a million memes you can find out there about, hey, what's really about luck? But when people say I got lucky for having a good structure, to me, it's not lucky. It's just being prepared and knowing where the professionals are and knowing that there are people who really know this much better than I ever will that have my back. And that's something that makes me very, very comfortable. And really, when talking to Clinton Toby inspired me to come out, this is a Saturday. I've gone out there as a soccer coach for my wife or for my youngest daughter, and my wife has to take over a couple times over the last couple of years. It's only happened like twice, but the point is, it's had to happen a couple times where my wife took over his job as a soccer coach because I came in here to my office on Saturday and delivered this information to you. But I know it's worth it. I know it is because I see the reactions people have, and I see the changes in people's business because they get themselves involved in something that really, really works. Okay. So what I'd love you all to do, pay very close attention over the coming, say, 10 minutes. I want you to pay attention very closely over the next 10 minutes because not only do I have more to teach, right? I want you to impart some more wisdom, but I want you to never, ever forget what it is that's presented here to you today by Anderson. Just don't ever forget this, okay? What Anderson is doing here today, for lack of a better term, is something that's extremely special. We have a program at Anderson that we've had for years that's called Business Essentials. And the idea behind the program, simple. Take a bunch of different services that Anderson offers to clients and package them together and say, hey, here's what a lot of clients need, especially people who are investing and want to grow their wealth and protect themselves. Put them together and make things make a lot more sense to the client by giving them that overwhelming support, right? So what I want you to do is take note of this fact. The Business Essentials program is going to include multiple programs that Anderson Business Advisor offers, right? So it's basically saying, hey, here's a list of some of the most popular services that clients use. Let's package them together in Business Essentials and make it more accessible. And let's be frank, how do you make something more accessible for more people? You make it more affordable financially. It's straight up what you do, all right? So what Anderson has done is this. First and foremost, they've said inside the Business Essentials program, every client who becomes Business Essentials will be awarded a Platinum Premier membership. Now, let me be direct. If you go onto Anderson's website and you buy Platinum Premier membership on its own, it's more on its own than the entire Business Essentials program. Okay, and it's for sale. You can go online and buy it, right? Platinum Premier membership is one of the most popular things we do at Anderson because here's what it does. It says every client will never have to worry about paying an hourly rate to an attorney ever again. Basically, it says this: you need the advice, you need the support, you need the resources. Call us up anytime. Create the meeting with your attorney to go over that particular contract. Make sure you're comfortable moving forward with that deal or that business or that syndication before you ever move forward with it by consulting the advice of a legal professional. Tax attorneys, real estate attorneys, all of which work with us here at Anderson or employed by us here at Anderson, can go out there and help our clients. And the beauty is you can call in anytime you need or email or get on a Zoom call. We have clients who do that too with our attorneys to meet digitally. And in fact, I'll get to this later, you can actually go in person because a lot of the attorneys are out of Vegas at our offices that we have there. And we have boardrooms that clients will come to and meet with attorneys there. So it's all your option. The point is the Platinum Premier membership comes with unlimited access to our attorneys at no hourly rates. It's a massive, massive, great opportunity. Cool thing is, very, very popular over the last year and a half has become our knowledge room. Every week, Monday through Friday, 9 to 2 p.m. on the West Coast. So we're looking at noon to 5 here in the East Coast. You can go on and say, here's my Platinum Premier membership ID, here's my password, and boom, you are now inside a meeting that happens daily with our attorneys, both tax and real estate. And what happens is each day they will focus on a certain strategy or a certain area. So if you see the schedule coming up and they're going to be talking about land trusts and you want to be more well-versed in a land trust deal you're about to do, pop onto the knowledge access room, have that meeting, and it's much different than this in that you have the ability to go back and forth with who's in there. These events, like I said, to protect our clients, we keep them private. In fact, all the chat that's coming up, the 230 plus questions that have already been asked and answered, all those things are private to the clients themselves. When you go into the Platinum Knowledge Room, it's much more communal and you have the opportunity to learn from others. It's something that our clients have absolutely loved. It's relatively new to Anderson's in the last couple of years, right? In fact, our CEO was just sent out an email recently praising the entire staff at Anderson because he said he's been getting so much positive feedback from clients on the Platinum Knowledge Room and the fact that it's there. So all of you who are Platinum Knowledge Room members, you'll have access to that room Monday through Friday, okay? Every month, 2 legal documents, we review them for you. Basically, you got a contract that comes in that you have any questions on, send them in. They'll be reviewed by an attorney, put notes on, and then sent back to you. We have had multiple clients who have stopped deals that they were in middle of because there were holes in the contract that we didn't like. So we go out there and stop them from doing a deal that they would regret in 1 year, 5 years, 10 years down the road because they might not have noticed something. It's been huge for our clients to have that service. Now, we don't draft the document, but we will review 2 contracts for you every single month, or legal documents, whatever it might be, okay? Make sure that everybody understands that we're very big on education here. The better informed your clients are, the better decisions they're going to make. The better decisions you guys make as clients helps us, right? You got to understand. The better our clients do, the more services we're able to provide them, right? We have a client of ours. She's got an $18 million net worth. She goes out there and signs up for services at Anderson totaling around 28,000 bucks, right? It's 28 grand this one client invested in with services at Anderson. You might say, man, it's a lot of money. You're right. 28 grand's a lot of money, but to protect, close to a $20 million net worth, a lot of times people would see the value in getting that done. So the better you do, the better Anderson does. We understand that, so we help you train, all right? We have an extensive library, customizable forms. Every single time a client needs a form that's new, it is then uploaded into the actual Platinum Premier website. You can go on there, put your student ID number in and your password, and you have access to all those forms right there. We have clients using them all the time. It's a nice way to say, hey, I need this form for this particular situation. You go out there and make sure it's cataloged and you get it printed out and you use it, right? So the Platinum Premier membership, number one, Very important to understand that you have access. Can I get a thumbs up if you see value in never having to worry about hourly rates with an attorney ever again? Right? Can you see value in that? I mean, we have people, attorneys that work for us that used to make $450, $500 an hour just going out there and charging people to respond to emails, right? And they're still making great money. We're still at, what do you call it? Anderson paying them, right? But what it is, it's making sure that this client never has that thing that says, I don't know if I want to contact them because I don't want to get charged. Best way is to have Platinum Premier membership done and it's accessible for you. Okay. Now we're going to need an entity, right? For asset protection and tax purposes, everybody should need an entity here today. In fact, even if you have entities, get one that's set up by the best in the business. So we got the limited liability company. Now the beauty is every single one of you in Business Essentials will get one of our entities completely custom made for you. And the beauty is you will never be charged for amendments. Now, this is big. My first attorney that I worked with when I started investing in real estate was great. He was a great guy. In fact, I still have a relationship with him. He's not my attorney anymore. But what he used to do is he would create these documents that I needed. And there were times that we would go over them. And when we go over them, we would go out there and make some adjustments, make some changes, and then I would get a bill, which was, hey, I didn't know any better. I thought, well, okay, this is the way it works, right? Well, again, Anderson says why. We have a team of support system, a team of individuals who understand this process. We know our clients and we understand that they want to make changes. So we make it so and unlimited amendments. In fact, we will redraft that entity for you once a year completely free. So custom created entity number one, limited liability company. We're also going to create and file all the documents for you, taking care of the administrative work. Most importantly, keeping you completely anonymous. So that's there for you as well. Now this one's big and I would get the pen ready in this one. We're going to custom create an operating agreement specifically for you. Okay. We're going to create this to align to your exact situation. Typically our operating agreements are between 60 and 120 pages. We have all the provisions and all the protections necessary inside our operating agreements. You take a look at a LegalZoom operating agreement and an Anderson one side to side, they don't even look like they're the same thing. They don't even resemble each other. It's apples to oranges. And again, that's why you have the professionals choosing Anderson services. They make the most sense. Now, crypto, flipping, buy, hold, short-term rentals, all these different professionals we have as investors will help you create the operating agreement specifically to what you aim to do. Okay, now, every operating agreement has essential provisions. Get your pen out or take a screenshot of this when I'm done going through this, but I want to make sure you realize when we put our CTA compliant, your Corporate Transparency Act operating agreement together, we want to make sure there are certain provisions, okay? Even if you don't end up becoming a Business Essentials client with us, it is extremely important for you to understand what I'm about to show on the screen, okay? Every operating agreement under the sun, especially if you're an investor or an entrepreneur, should include these provisions. Number one, you never want forced distributions included in an operating agreement. It never makes sense, especially for those asset protection times. It should always be optional. You always want to say, you know what? Why do I need to compete? Why do I need competing ventures? Do you realize that there have been multiple judges across the country that have collapsed corporate structures of an individual who owns multiple investment businesses because they didn't have the provision in there allowing them to compete with themselves? It's not worth being in a situation where you lose money because of a simple technicality like that. So make sure your ability to engage in competing ventures is included in the operating agreement, okay? Your tax selection needs to match, right? There's a recent tax case that shows there was a sub-S corporation that was taxed as a sub-S corp, but their operating agreement said they were a partnership, which without an audit doesn't really mean much. But once the audit took place, they were crushed with back taxes and they paid big time penalties because of having a situation where their tax alignments didn't align, right? So your provisions have to align is what I'm trying to say, all right? Charging order protection, we went over that, prohibits creditors from taking your business. This is a must-have, which is why we have so many clients setting up Wyoming corporations or Wyoming LLCs, okay? We can build in the provisions to discourage the transfer of ownership. Think divorce, but don't just think divorce from a spouse. Think divorce from a partner. You want to have these restrictions in place because judges can order sometimes creditors to take over, and that's something that you don't want happening. And again, an operating agreement can keep that from happening, right? And that kind of goes into what I was just talking about. Creditor, we don't want them to be able to enforce the removal of a manager. And believe it or not, there are operating agreements out there that don't have this provision, which makes it very easy for a creditor to come in and do this. Okay. Very important. This is one that probably most of you probably haven't heard of if you've heard of these so far. All of our clients, we've been putting in something called a decanting provision in for our clients. And what it does is it essentially allows you to move the contents of the LLC either out of state or out of the country. And what we always tell people is just something to have in the back pocket. It's probably something you will never, ever need to use. But the reality is, if you ever wanted to use it, say just change jurisdictions, even county to county, to benefit you when it comes to a lawsuit, you're not allowed to have it. Or you're not allowed to do it unless it's in the operating agreement. So make sure the decanting provision is in your operating agreement. Okay. And last but not least, I'm about to tell you about an individual who lost millions of dollars of his wealth because of 3 letters. Okay. I'll be dramatic. Everyone should have a non-pro rata distribution clause in their operating agreements. If you have pro rata distribution because it's the way that you wanted your operating agreement written initially, because that's how you thought it would be fair, or that's how you thought it'd be good for the partner, remember, there's situations where creditors can come in and they say, okay, we want money. This is our judgment. This is the business we're filing the judgment against. And what this individual did, he owned a bread company. He sold the bread company, started another company that was sort of similar, enough so that the company he sold to filed the non-compete. Said, hey, you violated the non-compete. So he said, all right, I don't think I did, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to start giving distributions to my wife. Wife wasn't named in the lawsuit. She had nothing to do with the business. So he starts giving distributions. Lo and behold, millions of dollars later, judge looks at his operating agreement, says, excuse me, you have pro rata distributions. So all the distribution that you put to your wife should also be going to you, which also means all that money can now go to your creditor. Okay. Millions of dollars mistake based on not having 3 letters in there, NON, right? Don't make the mistake. Please, I beg you, as I look into this camera, if you're going to put an operating agreement together for your business that you want to hold up in court, have it done by people who know what they're doing. Please don't go out there and we call legal doom, right? Don't go out there and use the basics and the very generic. It can put you in a really tough situation. That's what happens. People get sued and they say, I thought I had this protection in, but they didn't take the time to understand the whole thing. Okay. Moving on with this, the LLC, I don't want people knowing what I have. I don't want people tracking me down, so we're going to go ahead and fortify your privacy when we guarantee your privacy. It's part of your documentation with Anderson. We guarantee that privacy component. We'll grab your EIN number for you so you don't have to use your own name or number, use your own name in any way. So we'll get that number for you. And then this is a big one that's helped me. I can speak to this. Anderson put together a binder for me for my multiple companies. In this binder, when I take this, I've gone out there and used DSCR products on some of my bigger investment properties, refinance, even when a rate goes down, when you're talking about millions and millions of dollars, a rate drop of 0.5% can mean a big deal, even with closing costs. And what's nice is I've had these types of lenders reach out to me and say, this is great, very professional. This makes it easy for my underwriting team to look at this and make sure, it's definitely going to be something they want to do. It makes it easy because of how well this is put together. And that's just not just me, guys. It's a letter from one of our attorneys received this from one of our clients' attorneys, and it said, this is the best structured JV LLC that I've ever seen. And he went on to say that so many people come in asking for this, this, and this. They don't have the right information, and it makes it much, much more difficult. So understand that's part of business essentials, getting you that company and making sure it's all documented properly as professionally as possible. So there we go. Platinum Premier membership, your entity with unlimited event amendments. Most of you, it'll be an LLC. Depending on your situation, your business, it might be a different type of entity, but we'll cover that. Okay. Third thing we include inside Business Essentials is something our clients have all loved, very simply called our Company Assistance Program. And what this does, just gives you a few services that make your life a lot easier. All right. Let's protect your property tax statements, right? Among other things. We don't want them going to you, crushing your anonymity. Your business correspondence will come directly to us at Anderson. Scan it, upload it into that file encrypted folder, and you're good to go. Okay. We're always going to update you, making sure you get renewed and help you through this process. I mentioned it earlier about the guy who renewed incorrectly and his anonymity was exposed. Well, I have a gentleman I play at the YMCA courts and play basketball against him sometimes. He's an investor who makes tremendous money. He does really, really well for himself and his family. And he was, it's this towards the end of the year now, so it's been 6 months or more. But the point is, he told me about how he had to pay $10,000 in fees because of one of his companies. He didn't go out there and remember to file the renewals. And he said it went on for about 2.5 years. He didn't even know it was happening. And all those fees kept, incurring. He couldn't get them waived, had to pay 10 grand. So it's a good example of being on top of things. It's nice when somebody else is looking out for that for you. Okay. They're going to provide you with the minutes and resolutions. A lot of these great strategies that Jeff is going to teach you after our lunch break, they require these minutes and resolutions. So they need to be there for the actual tax strategies to be able to be taken into place. That's why we make sure we have them and we can draft them upon your request. We electronically store all of your legal documents. So everything that we do for you that you get in on paper is also electronically stored in our offices at Anderson to make sure you have everything that you need. Okay. Now, before you use this program, right? Before, Business Essentials becomes essential for the business that you're doing, right? For lack of a better word, you need to understand where you are and where you want to go. So what we do is for all of our platinum membership students, platinum membership members, right? We go out there and allow them not only to use the boardroom to talk to attorneys, but we have them have their initial meeting. Most of the time, this happens digitally. For some of you here today, this can happen today if you want it. We have attorneys standing by right now to have this meeting with you right now. So what they do is they go through this tax and asset strategy session. It's about an hour in length. And what I'm about to tell you, there are people that have gone through this hour and realized tax savings. And Toby likes to say it this way: is like, if we can have a new client come on board and they can save, say, $7,000 to $10,000 immediately just by restructuring, typically they're usually pretty happy with the decision they made, and it's something that's not that difficult to do for a lot of clients across the country. All right, so what we do is we take an hour and we say, hey, here's a tax strategist, an entity strategist. Let's see where we are. Let's see where we want to go, and then we start saying, hey, how can we start saving you and reducing your tax liability right away? Now, during that session, they also review everything that you're doing now and what you want to do into the future. And then very, very big one here is they create a personalized blueprint for you. And this might sound pretty cliche from an industry like this, but this is what separates Anderson. Every client has a very detailed structure. It's a great piece of software that our attorneys and our tax strategists use with our clients. And what it does is it puts all of our clients specifically into this particular category. If they're investing in this or they're looking to invest into this, they go into this category. And what happens is you have the attorneys that have the most knowledge in that information, and then it directs you right to those professionals. And the great thing is, say you're working with an attorney, people go on vacation, right? One of our attorneys goes out of town for themselves and their family for a week. You will be then directed, because of this blueprint, to the individual who can help you just like they were, right? So that's the advantage of having a great group of attorneys that work together, is they got, obviously there's a lot of wisdom being shared, but also being able to help the clients whenever they need it is huge. All right. Now, for the good news, everybody wants to know, can this benefit me? Really, real simple. You're getting started, you're a beginning investor, you want to do this thing the right way. Yes. Okay. Say you want to tighten things up. You're like I was already investing in real estate and I was pretty successful doing it when I became a client of Anderson. If that's you, you will never regret the decision you made from this day forward. And I can promise you that. But hey, you want to go out there and make the business make more sense, make it happen. Say some of y'all want to save some money in taxes. The last event that I was at in Orlando that we did, right in the front row of our Orlando event, there was a husband and wife sitting there that I met later. I didn't know this at the time, but I was up there speaking. I was doing about an hour session on investing, some of the strategies that we were teaching. And I talked to them later. They were a husband and wife surgeon. They were both surgeons, and they both made close to 7 figures each. And they were there specifically. They told me, I want to reduce this tax liability. It's getting ridiculous. We're both making great money, but we see a massive portion of it going to the government. They said, I don't mind paying taxes. I don't want to pay more than I need to if I could invest as well. And obviously, short-term rental loopholes, real estate professional status, there's a lot of things to look into there. Okay. Perhaps you're done investing. Perhaps you just got a lot of assets and you want some peace of mind. That's something to consider for you as well. Okay. Now, to lay this all out there so everybody can see this visually and make it make sense, everybody can be a client of Anderson. Okay. You don't need to attend a free webinar on Saturday to be a client of Anderson. To be a client of Anderson, there are multiple avenues into the business, into the support system, right? But one of the main ones, we do marketing around the country, and our website offers opportunities to be involved. To become Platinum Premier, there's a whole write up on what Platinum is, obviously, all the services that it offers. What we charge is $3,500 for enrollment into the program. Now, fortunately, once you pay $3,500, that's it. You're done paying for life. So when somebody pays $3,500 to become a Platinum member, they are now members forever. What you do have to pay, though, and even I have to pay this, right? On a monthly basis, you have to pay $75 to keep the Platinum Premier membership going. So essentially, what it is to have access to the attorneys, all the support system, all the documents that we give you at Anderson. It's literally a few cups of coffee at Starbucks these days, right? $75 a month. It is an absolute no-brainer deal. Well, typically people have to pay the $3,500 plus the $75 a month. For all of our business essentials clients, the $34.95 is completely waived. Okay, so the $75 a month is all you'll be responsible for when it comes to maintaining your platinum membership. Okay, now everything else, as you'll see here, is going to be included in business essentials. You got the limited liability company. When you buy this direct through Anderson, we charge $27.50 per entity. Now, you look at that and you say that's more than LegalZoom, Brent. You're absolutely right. It is. This is a different class of program. This is a different class of documents, and it's different class of professionalism looking at this and making sure it's designed specifically for you. To me, the $27.50 for an actual limited liability with unlimited amendments is a massive bargain, but that's up for you to consider. Okay. Again, all this will be included, as you'll see here in a second. The company assistance program, we charge $1,800 each year for our company assistance program. We are giving you the first full year of company assistance program, no charge whatsoever. After that, it'll be up to you to go do it. It's not something that we auto charge or anything. It's just if you want the services that they have in company assistance program, you can get with your advisors and make that decision at then. But we give you a full year of that assistance as part of business essentials. Okay. The tax and asset strategy session, we charge $750 for that. So if you add it all up, the total value of basically what's in business essentials is just under $9,000. Okay. Now, last month when I did this in May, we offered this particular program, and this is it. This is what we offered. We, discounted as much as we possibly can and made it accessible to clients. Okay. This week, okay, for the first time, I've never done this before. We are adding 2 additional bonuses to business essentials. I got a call from Clint earlier in the week. He basically explained this to me. He said, Brent, first and foremost, we want all of our clients to have digital bookkeeping. Okay. During COVID and, during the CARES Act, if you guys remember that, within a few weeks, we had $30 million for our clients. It was basically found out by our whole team at Anderson. It could have been over $100 million easily. Okay. But people did not have their books the way they should. They didn't have them professionally put together. No P&L statements. The balance sheets were complete. Everybody thought they had them put together well, but they didn't. I mean, I'm not kidding you. We redacted what we had to redact, but this is type of stuff that we got in at the time at Anderson, right? So the lack of professionalism some people have when it comes to their books is massive. So what Anderson says is, well, let's give people our digital bookkeeping program and give them these services so they have that included in business essentials. That's bonus number 1. It's huge. All right. The second thing right here, I've talked about digital bookkeeping before in my career at Anderson. This is something that's very, very new. We have realized that our clients who come on board, they get themselves a new entity set up with the best possible asset protection and best tax advantages. But what has to happen is they need to accelerate the process of building their business credit. So we've put together a team of professionals that help our clients now. Handhold them. It takes a lot of time. As you'll see here in a second, it's not cheap, right? So what we put together is called our Business Credit Optimizer program that basically says, hey, we're going to hold your hand, show you exactly what to do, in fact, guide you through the process of creating better business credit faster, right? Which a lot of times helps people's business grow faster, right? And that business credit will obviously help them with the well-standing of their business, but also obtaining capital if that's something that they so desire. Okay, so the business credit optimizer is something that's relatively new to Anderson. Our clients have absolutely loved it so far, even our clients who have paid for it, because before this week, before this particular session today, we've never offered this before. All right, so the bonus items that we have here today: digital bookkeeping, it's $1,000 for that particular program. For the business credit optimizer, you're looking at $2,500 for that on its own, right? All of this, little over 12 grand for the services that are in business essentials. Okay, and we're going to make this really easy on you. I'll show you how to get involved here in just a second. Before I do, take less than 60 seconds to listen to somebody other than Brent Nagy, the guy you just met. Right? What I want you to do is listen to George, because it's really obvious when you watch this. George wasn't scripted. George threw his iPhone on and said, I want people to understand what I've experienced. We have literally received hundreds of these videos over the years from our clients. And Toby and Clint chose to use this one because it speaks to the element of who our clients are and the experiences at what they have. So listen to George here for 60 seconds, and I promise I'll deliver some news you want. I can guarantee that. Here's George.
I had been doing flips, and I had set up my entities through another company, and I explained that to my brother. And so he did some research, and he actually found you guys online. And then he started sharing me with what you guys were doing and how your program worked. And I'm going, wow, that's way better than what I'm doing. And you guys, your products and the services and how you went in depth and making sure that the entities are set up correctly, so there's anonymity and protection. And I go, you know, that other company didn't really, and they're really well touted, yeah, and they just didn't go through all that depth. And I'm going, well, maybe I'm not as protected as I thought. So then I did research on you guys. So I go, they can't be that good. I mean, I thought I had the good ones, but of course, my brother was right. And I said, well, I'm going to call and talk to these guys. So I called and talked to one of your people, and sure enough, they were saying the same thing that my brother was. I go, this is, well, I got to check this out. Okay, I really need it. So I called again, and I went more in depth, and I just really kind of grilled you guys, and you came up with answers I've never heard of before, approaches, and it was, wow, this is so much better. I think I need to switch, and so I did.
Or did, right? I can relate to that. And it's happened differently a little bit for me, but I can relate to what he's exactly going through. You see Anderson, you see what we've done over the years, the Better Business Bureau A+ rating. You see that, solid reviews all across the different platforms online. And what you see is retention. And that's one of the reasons why when we do these events, we try to do, when we hold an event like this, the goal is always to encourage as many people as we can to be involved. But, Anderson, even though we got 500 employees and we're rocking and rolling across this country, there's only so much that Anderson can handle. Okay. So what I want all of you guys to realize is the Business Essentials program, everything that's included, the Business Essentials, the bonus items, the business credit optimizer, bookkeeping, everything that you see here. What we're doing here today is we're offering this entire thing at a discounted program down to $3,000. So it's $29.97. It's an event-only package. It's something that does expire at midnight today, and it's something that we always encourage people that have taken the time to be here to look into. Okay, now what we understand is many of you in many situations may not have heard of Anderson before. You may not be familiar with us. I talk very highly of Anderson because I understand what it is that they've done. So what I want you guys to realize is a couple things. To get involved in this entire Business Essentials program, it's $29.97. That is it. There is no repeat $29.97 next year or the year after. $29.97 gets you into Business Essentials and everything that you saw there. What I need you guys to realize is if you want to do this, there's one way to enroll at this price point. You can piece it together online and pay, more than 12 grand, or you can go to andersonbe.com anytime between now and midnight and get yourself involved in Business Essentials. Now, there's a couple things you need to be aware of, okay? And this is new to us now, especially from the reactions that we've had to these webinars that we do has been very positive. And let me put it this way, we always want to provide the best services that we can. We don't ever want to compromise those services because of volume, okay? So please keep this in mind. Every new client that we have, we always say we give a guarantee. All right. So everybody understand this. When you enroll in Business Essentials, we are giving you 100% money back guarantee on your enrollment. What that means is not, 5 days or a week or two. We give you a full 30 days. So essentially, from 30 days from when you enroll in this today, right? You have that time to be like, okay, is this something that's working out for me? Is this something that I see the value in? Yes, I progressed with this. Great, right? If for whatever reason it's not working out for you, contact us and say, listen, it's not for me at the time. I'm going to go ahead and forego my membership, and that's it. 29.97 refunded to you, no questions asked. This is the way we've done business for many, many years. And the way that Anderson has separated themselves from many others is they say, we want our clients to be happy, to enjoy the process, enjoy the fact that they're clients with us. If they're not enjoying it and they're not happy with the service, that's something that we don't want to linger over time. So, Anderson, one of the best in the industry in many ways, by far the best in saying they give you a 30-day, 100% money back guarantee. I mean, how many of y'all in the room can you see the benefit in that by, a positive emoji, a heart emoji, something that shows, hey, we put our money where our mouth is as far as the services that we provide. So make sure everybody understands that, number one. Number two, I'm not the tax professional, that'll be Jeff, but understand that the 29.97 is 100% tax deductible. It is a cost in your business, and it is something that Jeff will actually show you how to create and make this a tax benefit for yourself and your family. Okay. Now, I alluded to this a couple times just so everybody knows. Sometimes this is an issue, sometimes it's not. But every time we do one of these events, we have 30 attorneys that are specifically designated to onboard clients coming from this particular event. Okay. Now, because of that, we do not overload these attorneys because we do these things sometimes on a weekly, sometimes on a bi-weekly basis. So when we do one of these events, we have more than 500 people in this event. We are not able to take, 400 people as new clients. It just wouldn't work out for our attorneys. Okay. So understand this. Sometimes it's an issue, sometimes it's not, but we're going to be accepting 40 new clients from the group that we have today. Okay. The 40 new clients can come from anywhere, and they could be, platinum clients, titanium clients, which you'll see here in a second. But we have to create a situation where we say, once we go above that, we can't go out there and retain any more clients and service them the way that they can. So if this is something you want to do and you see the value in, remember, you got the 100% money back guarantee, you got the fact that it's tax deductible, you got to make sure you seize that opportunity and be at andersonbe.com. Okay. One other thing that Clint wants me to do, and I've done this before, this isn't the first time, but Clint says that, when people see opportunities in real estate or in business, if they take action on them and they recognize those, a lot of times they look back and say, man, I'm glad I did that. I'm glad I saw the opportunity, recognized for what it did, for what it was, and I'm going to go out there and benefit now as a result. So what Clint says is, what we're going to do is we're going to give an additional incentive to clients who get themselves involved during the break. So during the lunch break. So essentially from 45 minutes from the moment I'm speaking right now, for anybody who goes onto andersonbe.com and gets themselves a business essentials package, we're going to add this to your portfolio. Number one, everybody who gets involved in business essentials before lunch break is over, we're going to give you a residence trust package. The residence trust package at Anderson, we charge $1,500 just for the residence trust. That's for the attorneys to set up the package and do the due diligence that they need to do prior to getting it set up for the client, right? Residence trust, $1,500. Every client is going to need a nominee trustee. To do a residence trust initially, you need the help of a nominee trustee. Our nominee trustee per event price at Anderson, $750. It's an attorney who takes, roughly an hour and a half, 2 hours of their time to set up this nominee trustee. They act as it for you. They go through the process of resignation, et cetera, $750. And then we also do the deed. All but 3 states. So you live in, New York, New Jersey, we won't be able to do the deed for you there, but we can actually show you how to get the deed set up with attorneys in your state. But for most states across the U.S., when you set up your residence trust, we're going to be able to do the deed. In fact, technically it's 2 deeds, so you can look at it that way. It's a good deal. The residence trust package through our website, if you look at these price points, is it's $2,700. For all of you who get involved in business essentials between now and when Jeff comes back after lunch at andersonbe.com, boom, residence trust package, nominee trustee, indeed, they're given to you for free. It's a bonus for taking action. All right. It's something that Anderson likes to do to encourage people to recognize that opportunity and get there and start making the most of it. Okay. Now, It is very typical when we have new clients come on board with Anderson for them to see the value in other things that we do. Okay, so when you go to Business Essentials, you're going to be brought to a link that looks something similar to this. Okay, the Business Essentials, when you go there and you fill this out with your personal information and you become a Business Essentials client, only then will you be directed to additional page. Okay, the additional page will show one of two things. Okay, you are going to be given an opportunity as a Business Essential client to have access to both our Titanium program and have access to our unlimited living trust. Okay, now, so everybody understands this. This is really important. We get questions on this every time I do this. If you want the ability to have access to unlimited entities like I do, so every time I need an entity set up by an attorney, very simple phone call or email describing the deal, describing what I need done exactly. The attorneys then draft that paperwork and get it sent to me. All right, all the filing done for me. When I want that done, it's a very simple process because I am what's called a titanium client. To become titanium client at Anderson is typically an $18,000 one-time fee. And again, 18 grand can sound like a lot of money. You do 4 or 5 deals a year, totally worth it. You do 3 deals, it's worth becoming a titanium client today, especially because for all our Business Essentials clients, they are giving you the most dramatic discount that has ever been offered on titanium in the history of Anderson. Okay, can sound cliche, you can shake your head if you want, but it's reality. Typically, to become a client of our titanium program is an $18,000 fee. For all of you who get involved in Business Essentials, you will see a link on the page. We have 40 clients we're accepting new today during this event, 10 of which have the option to upgrade to the titanium membership. There are clients that come on to this webinar that are already clients of ours. They become Business Essentials just to get the discount in titanium. That's how significant it is. Okay, so my point is, and I'm talking to any of you, I'm talking to you now. For those of you who are new, though, if you plan to do volume as an investor, if you plan to open multiple businesses, or you plan to do multiple deals over the course of a year, you'll see titanium membership makes a lot of sense. By the way, titanium is a one-time fee. So once you pay the 18 grand, or, in your case today, a lot less, when you pay that, it's done. You are a titanium member with Anderson for life. Okay. And by the way, every single fee that's associated with setting up all those entities is completely covered by Anderson, except the state filing fee. So, which is, what is it, $100 or $150? Very, very inexpensive. In most states, some states less than $100, right? So the point is all of you get unlimited access to the attorneys as Platinum Premier members. If you want unlimited entities, titanium is something you might want to look into. And the other thing is, for any of you who've invested before, see the value in a living trust. Remember, living trusts typically are put together by attorneys. And typically, when an attorney puts a living trust together, if there are amendments or addendums to that trust, there are fees. And again, there should be. It takes the attorney time to go out there and make those changes. But what Anderson has done is said they've put together an unlimited living trust package for all of our clients. So when you pay 8 grand at Anderson, you have a living trust that you can go out there and set up and make changes to as many times as you need to. And there will never, ever be an hourly charge. Now, it's $8,000 to get the unlimited living trust. For all of my Business Essentials clients, less than half off. They're giving it to you for $3,500. So if you don't have a living trust, please consider, if you become a Business Essentials client with Anderson today, look into the unlimited living trust bump offer discount, because like I said, more than a 50% discount on it just because you were a Business Essentials client. It's definitely something you should and want to look into. Okay. What I want to do now, we'll go to break here in just a few minutes to get you guys some lunch. Make sure you guys can eat. What I want to do before Jeff comes up and starts into, in my opinion, this whole workshop just continues to get better and better. When you start to realize, when you take these asset protection techniques and you couple them with tax strategies, you'll start to realize why we have so many clients coming on board because of these classes. They make the most sense to get people, you educate people, they start to realize the value in things. What I'd like to do, Jeff, you've been taking a look at the Q&A, so you can probably help me with this. Let's answer a few of the questions that have been coming in that are kind of more prevalent, and we'll get those answered, and then we'll get you guys your lunch break. Okay. Jeff, have you seen anything that kind of jumps out at you since I've been talking?
Yeah, I have. So we have a few questions coming in, and I hope you'll forgive me as I glance off screen. I have another monitor where I have the actual chat pulled up
Yeah, yeah, I have
that
the
I'm
same thing.
watching. So we have, and so one that I've seen come up a couple times is, hey, that business essentials investment or that titanium investment, are these recurring fees? Brent already hit on this, but just to reaffirm that, no, these are not recurring fees. This is a one-time investment. We know that there are a lot of groups that will say, $3,000, $3,000 a month, right, or three
Right.
thousand dollars a year or something like that. No, this is a one-time investment, and then you're covered. You're a Platinum Premier client or you're a Titanium client, and so yes, this is a one-time investment. And yes, do take advantage of that because we'd love to have you and love to work with you. So that's what I've seen come up a couple times.
Okay. Yeah, I'll take one real quick. This is we get this all the time. If I pay for this personally, is it still tax deductible? Yes. I mean,
Yes,
Jeff, you can
absolutely.
speak to that better than me. But when it comes to platinum, okay, so that's you just answered that. Oh, here's what a good one. The residence trust. If I don't have a house today, can I claim the offer later? Yeah, yeah. If you don't have a residence trust, or excuse me, if you don't have a residence right now, but you're like, hey, I'm getting a residence trust because I'm enrolling now, yes, it'll go on your portfolio as a client of ours. And by the way, and we get this a lot too. Hey, Brent, I just went through the whole process at andersonbe.com and I didn't see anywhere where it said residence trust. You won't see it's not going to be written there. But we
Mm-hmm.
can guarantee you, all right, we've been doing this a long time. When you enroll between now and when Jeff starts, it's kind of a timestamp thing. It goes onto your portfolio. And then the great thing is it never goes away. So if 2 years down the road you finally buy your first home, you have it under contract and you're thinking, man, I went to that event one time and I got a residence trust because I became a business essentials client with Anderson. Boom, call them up and they'll get your residence trust set up for you. And in fact, a lot of times, better way to do that as far as buying your first house, utilizing that residence trust to get it
Oh, for
makes more
sure.
sense than doing it that way anyway, right?
Yeah, I
Um,
totally agree. And so
yeah.
yes, and I've done that before. I this was what, month and a half ago probably. I formed a trust for a client who had purchased, it was 4 almost 5 years ago,
Mhm.
and then they had invested with us. And it took a little bit of digging to make sure, but
Right.
sure enough, there it was. There was
Yeah.
the trust there. They hadn't used it. And so I got to deliver the good news. I said, yeah, yeah, we will happily honor that. We'll go
Yeah.
ahead and we'll get that started for you. So yes, we'll honor it whenever you're ready to use it for sure. I
Yeah.
saw another one come up here, if you don't mind, Brent,
Yeah.
I've seen a couple actually about the unlimited living trust. So, unlimited means unlimited amendments or changes. And so we see that frequently when we review living trusts that are put together by other law firms or even our own. When we say, hey, we might need to update these things because of changes in the law or because of changes in the tax code, some of those might be coming up soon. But also, we very frequently will see just changes in, family relationships. Hey, this person who I named as trustee, they're actually not our friend anymore. Or hey, my kids are adults and I want to make adjustments now to how their distributions are going to go to them. And so, yeah, we will make adjustments and amendments based on those things an unlimited number of times for your living trust. That's if you invest today. Then yes, absolutely. That unlimited living trust package, that's what that is geared towards.
Yeah. Yeah. And am I right on that? It's 3,500 bucks, right, for business essentials clients? That's
Yes,
the
today
discount.
today it is.
Well, right.
Yes, I double
Well, I
checked
mean,
before I came on.
it's one of those things, guys. We put this thing together as a package to incentivize people to act and to be involved and to actually, make that change that they so desperately need to make, whether they know it or not. I mean, let's face it. Sometimes asset protection tax strategy is not the sexiest thing in the world, but it's really, really sexy when you're faced with that first situation where oh my gosh, I don't have to worry. I don't have to put my family in jeopardy. I'm not in a situation where this is going to go bad. I mean, we had a client of ours from Oklahoma, two older individuals who came to one of our events and just went up and talked to Clint and just said, listen, we sent our son to college. He drove a car that we gave him to drive at college. The car was titled in our own name, and he was in a car accident and he made somebody else a paraplegic. And because of that car accident, they were sued and they had 17 properties, 17 pieces of real estate. And they didn't have zero, they had zero when they were done. All 17 were taken. And this was years and years of the thing taking place. But it was a situation where they came and they could have been like, woe is me, life isn't fair, I'm giving up. But they were at Clint's event, an asset protection event, just basically there to tell them, listen, we're here. We don't want to make that same mistake again. And it's something that they never imagined happening. They grew their wealth. They were retired, but they had to continue to go out there and work as a result of losing that because they weren't properly protected. It happens all the time. So what we're trying to do is make sure this is as easy as possible for people to get involved. And I'm seeing this twice now. How do I get involved with Titanium? I want the unlimited LLCs. It's if they're still available. Okay, we do this. We have 40 new clients we're accepting. We should have plenty of opportunity for that. Okay, between especially now and the end of lunch. But we have 10 titanium packages that we're offering. Remember, guys, a titanium client goes to a different core group of attorneys that we have at Anderson. It's a smaller group. This smaller group of attorneys deals directly with our titanium clients. It's more volume, right? So they have to be develop more relationships. It's a different feel for them. So we cannot overload that group of attorneys that deals with titanium clients, which is why we limit it. But if it's something you want, you have to go through Business Essentials first to get it at the discount. Or you can pay 18 grand for it, but why? They're going to give you a massive discount on it once you become Business Essentials. And am I right in this, Jeff? That happens when they go through the process of enrolling. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. And
Yeah.
you'll be set up with a different group. In fact, I'm actually going to meet with a group of titanium clients in Las Vegas next week
Oh,
as sort
cool.
of a titanium perk.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Cool. Okay, I got the bonuses. I see that all the time. The bonuses don't show up. We've answered a tremendous amount of questions, so it's good to see you guys getting the questions answered. I will make sure that everybody before lunch break understands that this is trying at Anderson trying to do what's right for the client. We've had typically, when I got involved with Anderson years ago, to be a client that had any level of service, you're looking at typically between 12 and 14,000 bucks. Okay, and up until COVID, really, that was the option that clients had. And what happened was when COVID happened, we started to realize that there was a whole plethora of clients that we could serve online. Because typically, you do live events, and Jeff knows this. Those things cost a few $100,000 for a couple days, right? So it's
They absolutely do.
yeah, it's a very expensive thing for Anderson to do. And before COVID, that's all Anderson ever did. They would do live events. They would shoot Clint and Toby to different parts of the country, and they would promote their company, their law firm, right? And what happened is during COVID, they made this realization that they could invite new clients to be part of the family through this web-based platform, something called Zoom, right? And it just makes it more accessible. It makes it more attainable for the client because we can pass on those cost savings to our clients. I remember Clint was telling me about meetings that he had with the COO. When they first started doing these events, they were charging their normal price points, like much, much more than $3,000. And they were doing really well. They still had a lot of clients coming on board. And it became very clear, they wanted to make this more accessible to people that typically couldn't have this level of service when it comes to, a great group of attorneys, a great group of tax specialists. Now you guys do. For less than 3,000 bucks, you have an opportunity to become part of the family and be serviced in a way that you want to be serviced. And you'll see that. Like that's why we give the 100% money back guarantee, because once people start to realize what Anderson's all about, there's not many people saying, "Hey, I need my money back," right? I mean, it happens. It's part of life. It's part of business. But that's why we want to honor that and say it's not 5 days or 15 days. It's a full 30 days that we give you to say, "Hey, does this make sense to me?" All right. So tax deductible, you see the Residence Trust package we're giving to you. Go to andersonbe.com. I want to make sure that we get this break going because I'm excited about the second half and what you got for us, Jeff. So do you have anything else before we go to break that you saw?
Nope, I think we're looking good. Thank you so
Okay,
much, Brand.
cool. And we'll get, by the way, I'll be here looking at questions during the break. So if you didn't get your question answered yet, we have typically at this part of the presentation, there's a ton of questions coming in. So give us some time because we got our attorneys and tax specialists working on them. Remember, one by one, there's a lot of you on here. For all of you who still have questions, remember to use the Q&A box versus the chat. And we will do the best we can, especially during this break, to make sure we get them all answered. So we start fresh for the second half of this thing when we get in our tax module. So thank you guys so much for your time so far. We're still excited. We got a lot more to do. And by the way, during the break, if you can avoid logging out, all the questions or comments that you've created will stay there versus them I think it restarts, so you won't see
It
them.
does. It'll
It
reset.
does, right?
Log out.
I know I've had people say that to me before, like, "Hey, where'd they answer?" Because a lot of times these attorneys, Jeff included, they'll give some really great answers and then they'll disappear because somebody logged out. So make sure you stay on the event, even if you have to mute your computer or your iPhone, whatever you're on this on. But Jeff, you ready to rock and roll?
Yep, I'm ready. So
Cool.
we can
Okay,
jump into
so
that break and be ready to get right going after we get back.
okay, cool. All right, thanks, Jeff, and thanks everybody so far. We will see you after the lunch break. Thanks, guys.
Hey, thank you, Brent. Take care.
Uh-huh.
Why I owe finding out about Anderson to throat cancer. I was laying in bed and I was recovering from surgery, chemo, and radiation, and just very weak. And I was flipping YouTube channels. And I flipped on the channel about with Toby and Clint and Michael talking about Anderson. I'd never heard of Anderson before. I was too weak to change the channel. And I wound up over the next few weeks watching over 100 hours of Anderson videos. And when you go through cancer and you're almost checking out of this world, you realize that you really need to get your act together. And so I have 3 grown kids and 2 grandkids, and I wanted to leave a legacy. And I checked on other options as well, other organizations. But the thing I liked about Anderson is that they were educators. And as a former educator myself, it's important to me to get education along with the resources that you need. So I owe Anderson to cancer, or cancer to Anderson, so to speak. And the year before that, 2019, I had open heart surgery. 2020, throat cancer. And so those 2 life events just taught me I need to make sure that I leave the right legacy for my family and my children.
live in Arkansas, and we're doing building and developing in Arkansas, but we have rental properties in other states. The biggest benefit of working with Anderson in the last couple of years is number one is the cost segregation for saving taxes, and two is setting up our businesses, our LLCs, or them starting LLCs, so that our kids can carry on what we've worked hard for. The good thing about the partners, as they say, is they're in the business, and so they're keeping up with everything, what was and what is and what's going to be, and it really helps us as investors or landlords or whatever into what we need to be getting ready for in tax situations or lawsuits coming from tenants or anything like that. So that by them being in the business, it makes a big difference, and it gives us comfort to know that we're getting advice from somebody that's actually experienced it, not those that are just getting paid to give you their opinion, and that's worth a lot.
obviously you want to have your corporate structure, your company structure, your LLC set up properly, especially when you're getting into something riskier like real estate investing. But knowing how to manage and run the companies and the bank accounts and where things flow, and knowing all the different possible deductions you can take. I mean, the tax code is so big, and obviously your liabilities are almost unlimited. So understanding how to set your stuff up with the ultimate protection, but also have the greatest tax benefits, and still do that in a way that's compliant with everything, that's something that it'd be hard. Every possible thing, they seem to have some very creative strategies that seem safe, but at the same time, saving you money. I mean, you know, a friend of mine recently said that, you know, lawyers don't make you money, and it's a good point. You know, sometimes you can spend so much on legal stuff and it doesn't benefit you, but with this sort of tax and legal planning, I feel like you're keeping a lot more money in your pocket that you're probably wasting to taxes. And at the same time, you're protecting yourself from tax problems or legal problems, which, like I said, what's the point of building wealth if you're going to lose it all in the lawsuit in 5 years?
When I got my first LLC operating agreement, and I didn't even know what I had. And it was funny because over the next 3 or 4 years, I had to use that operating agreement a few times. And every time something came up, but the answer was in the operating agreement. So they were like ahead of me already, and they knew what I was gonna. They knew my position. I felt like they had vision on the growth that I was gonna have, and they were prepared for it, and they made me prepared for it. It really comes down to one metric: quality of life. I look at my quality of life in 2012, and I look at my quality of life in today, and it's immeasurable. Well, yeah, it's way better, and I can track a lot of that back to Anderson helping me with the foundation to do the things I want to do.
Attending the event live, I love to network, feel the energy in the room, have a lot of inspiration from like-minded people, and also, of course, asking questions to the advisors, the attorneys. It's so much easier than, typing things online or a phone call. It's just easier to get feedback and clarity right away.
We're just thankful to have ended up with Anderson because we are getting a lot of questions answered that we've had for years.
It's more than just you do my taxes, you help me structure the entities.
They've taught us every step of the way what to do and how to handle it.
You have to make sure you protect yourself. It's not just about your business, but it's about your legacy.
Anderson has really helped me really structure out everything.
I just wouldn't want to go into business and do it without them.
Bye.